Hey, Robert, it's always easy for somebody to tell somebody else how they should do their job. Do you agree?
Oh, yes. And after the fact, it's much easier to tell them what they should have done. Yes.
Hindsight and after the fact. And on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
Jonder Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're going to find out if you were the Bank of Canada, could you have done their job? And even though on past episodes of Real Estate Chat, which you have clicked like and subscribed to, we of course provide our criticisms, our commentary, our feedback, and all that, but with the acknowledgement that the Bank of Canada does not have an easy job, right? And yes, there have been blunders, there have been what we call maybe things that shouldn't have been done, but that's hindsight. And hindsight, as they say, is 2020. And this article provided to us by Robert via Post Haste, Bank of Canada has one of the toughest jobs, it says. But basically, the toughest job is because of the decision of what do you do with rates? Do you cut? Do you leave them the same way that they are? Has inflation gone down enough and has the consumer demand been stifled enough that you can now say, hey, you know what, let's make money cheaper and more affordable again. Let's make it easier for the business owner to borrow money again. Let's make it easier for the homeowner to buy again. And yet, we're facing a situation, Robert, that in the past couple of days, I've been speaking with some of our Remax hallmarkers, our real estate brokers, real estate professionals, that there's multiple offers happening again. People are driving up prices again, and prices dipped, but they never really dipped. I mean, mind you, the big dip from what we've discussed before from peak is amplified. We're looking at almost what, 30%? And yet prices have been stable despite the most recent adjustments in interest rates. So, Robert, let's say you were the Bank of Canada. What would you have done when money was cheap and rates were low for a very long time? And where would you have driven this Bank of Canada vehicle? And what would you do today to rates?
Okay. Well, this article um, is a summary of a report put out by the top economists of the Toronto Dominion Bank. And the article is a summary. The background article, which I think if you go back to this post haste, the first link you come to actually takes you to the TD report. So the TD's got a summary, got about 4 bullet points, and then they go into sort of a detail, and then they go into a super detail. But the most important thing, I think, is this part I've highlighted for me. So the report is called "The First Canuck Cut Will Be a Doozy," because they have to balance out what people's perceptions are, and then they guess about how people's perceptions. There we go. There will be a doozy. So they give a few key reasons. The second one being leaving interest rates at the effective lower bound for too long following the pandemic fueled a high uptake in variable rate mortgages and an escalation in household mortgage rate. Now the central bank must keep those risks top of mind at the other end of the spectrum in leaving rates too high for too long. This is definitely not an argument for a return to low rates, but is an argument for adjust the braking force on the economy by gradually easing the foot off the pedal. So many people are expecting there to be, because we also get in the United States news, Canadian news, and they get all mushed together. They're expecting somewhere between 2 and 6 interest rate cuts in Canada this year, 2024. Well, that ain't going to happen. It's going to be between 2 and 4, and it's going to be between half a point and 1%. That's what's going to happen. It's going to take 12 months to get there. Now, people anticipate that interest rates are going to be lower, and so this is the time to buy. Now, what we also have is the traditional time in Canadian winter real estate is that people take their properties off the market, be it on October the 15th or November the 15th or December the 15th, and say, I'm going to go away on holidays. The kids are going to be off school. Let's enjoy ourselves. Nobody wants to buy this place. So let's try it again in the spring. And then the spring starts again either on January the 15th or February the 15th or March the 15th, just depending on what those individual people want to do. So our friend David Fleming, the blogger, TorontoBlog.com, put out his weekly 5 saying, are all of these houses that are coming on the market realists? I've seen all these before. What is this? What's going on here? So the buyer who's out there on December the 15th through now, they keep on seeing new listings, but it's the same darn thing they already saw. Maybe it's at a higher price, it's a lower price, but the same darn thing. They're looking for something new. So the new thing that comes up is an estate sale. The new thing that comes up um, may be just a rerun, a price change on something that's been up for a long time, but it's just enough to get the buyers off the sidelines, get the people who've been waiting for a great deal to say, okay, I'll take a whack at it. One was reported sold this morning at Don Mills and Shepherd on a nice ravine lot, bungalow with an extension on the back. It's a unique property. Sat there at 2.3 for the longest time, 62 days. All of a sudden, bango, it sells for 2 even. That's a nice even number. It's like 85% or something of the asking price after 62 days. Normally they don't sell that far away from the asking price, and normally they don't sell that far off the asking price unless the owner is just sick and tired of it and says, okay, it's the first offer I've got, I'm going to get it. People are expecting the spring to boom, but there's nothing to boom because there's nothing for sale. It's really a fight right now between, is it a seller's market, is it a buyer's market? And you can't prove it with stats. You can only prove it on individual properties, and individual properties are, idiosyncratic. They don't indicate the whole thing. They just indicate what's happening for that right now. Super good has got a lot of attention. Many properties where it sat for a long time. Now all of a sudden it's the best thing going in that neighborhood, in that price class, of that type. People who weren't buying before now all of a sudden are buying. So the mix between number of buyers and number of listings is advantageous to the seller finally, after a long time of it being advantageous to the buyer. So what do we do? If you're the Bank of Canada, you got to watch out, because if you drop interest rates too fast or you give indications that you're going to, then people will buy in anticipation. Right now, as it says in this article and in the background report, of the inflation that they're seeing year over year, 5.9% of that's coming from shelter. Now, there's some things that are down, like gas is down, fuel is down. And so when you average it out, it comes out to the 3.1 that they talk about for the whole mess. But the price of rents, which is actually what they use in their calculation of CPI, but is the real estate component of it is going up. And so if it's going up, people's expectations that it is going up will be enhanced. They'll want to take advantage of that going up if interest rates go down. So this is why it's the toughest job, because you're trying to please people and at the same time not please them so they don't do the thing that you want them to not do. Oh, tricky.
Well, there you go. So next time you criticize the Bank of Canada or hear us talking about their moves, ask yourself if you could do better. And you know what? Stay tuned. On future episodes, we're going to be talking about, of course, the effects of interest rate coming up. I believe the first announcements will be what, March? In the midst of the
Nobody
spring?
knows, but somewhere, first or second quarter. So that's 6 months span. And it's going to be a quarter, and then it's going to be another quarter, and then maybe that's it, or maybe it's going to be a half.
Yeah, no. So the first announcement will be in March, and we will by then know whether it's going to be stay or decrease. And some real estate chat viewers are not pro of the cuts, but it's a reality, and I think that's going to be happening
Well,
anyway.
here's the final comment on this, that what our Tiffany has to do is he has a mandate that's given every 5 years. And right now the range is between 1 and 3, and that's why we say 2% inflation. Now he's got to change that mandate so that it's between 3 and 4 or 2 and 4. And so 3 can be the target. And he's not going to be able to put the inflation genie back in the box. He's just not going back to 2%. And we'll find that out. There's got to find a way of unwinding the story that they've told in a way that they don't have egg all over their face, in a way that doesn't blow up the economy, but it doesn't crush the economy. So it's tricky. And they're not up to the task. They're not up to the task. They just blame it on somebody else. They're not up to the task of just saying, we were wrong. We should have done this. Now we're going to do this to fix it. They kept their interest rates too long, too low. And they should have raised it like a year before, 2 years before.
Again, hindsight.
And we're suffering because of their
and we see that
lack of spine.
Exactly. So thanks for watching this episode, and make sure you share it with anybody you feel might benefit from it. Stay tuned for future episodes. Got a lot of exciting things to talk about. Take care and bye for now.
See ya.